Hello and welcome everyone to the next chapter. So today I'm joined by someone that I've known since my affiliate marketing days, back when we were both getting into the world of digital marketing. Lisa Spencer has always brought energy, passion, and a zest for life for everything that she does. And she's now using her experience to become a burnout coach, helping women overcome burnout and lead truly meaningful lives. Lisa's story is full of courage, honesty, and transformation, and I can't wait to dive in. How are you doing today, Lisa?
I'm really good, Luke. Nice to talk to you again.
Cool. Okay, Lisa, so to kick off, can you share a bit about where you grew up, please, and what your childhood was like?
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Oxford, that wonderful city, the city of dream and spires, apparently. Yeah, I grew up in Oxford, born and bred there, living with mum and dad and my older brother, David. Yeah, we were a pretty normal working class family, I would say. Fairly typical, massively into sports. My brother and I were hugely into like football, judo. Dad done judo as well with us. Um, and I was kind of one of those kids that didn't want to stay in her lane too much. All the things that the boys done, I wanted to do. So I was a right little tomboy. Football, I couldn't understand why girls weren't allowed to do the things that boys were allowed to do, and I just didn't want to accept that. Yeah, I made it my business to be great at football, and obviously my brother loved that, so that we could always kick a ball around together with dad. And off the wall things like BMX racing. I used to be, a kind of a BMX racer. Um, Loved water sports as well, loved swimming, diving. I've done sort of springboard diving for Oxford City, any sport. I didn't really want to master one, I wanted to try them all. But football became a real love of mine. I ended up playing sort of semi-professional for Oxford United
Wow, okay.
in the end. So yeah, it was fun. So yeah, normal, fairly normal growing up. And yeah, I think it's in terms of remembering kind of the way my parents were, really hardworking, had very strong work ethic. Mum and dad both worked really, really hard. Mum, obviously was a housewife plus working as well. So, juggling many, many balls. Dad worked sort of full time all the time. And yeah, it was a relatively happy household ish. And then there were some problems later on with my mum and dad's marriage, but yeah, we can maybe dive into that later.
Is there any building blocks, any key influences that shaped who you are today, would you say? You mentioned that your parents were both hardworking, and like myself, I think I've got a lot of my motivation and drive from
Mm.
looking up to my parents being such hard workers.
Yeah, I think the hard work and being just very resourceful. We didn't particularly have a lot of money. I wouldn't say we were poor either, but it didn't ever stop us having fun. I can't ever think of a moment where I felt like I went without because my parents always made it feel like we had everything we needed. So being resourceful, just that kind of hard work ethic and understanding the real kind of depth behind, you work hard and then you get rewarded for that. So yeah, I think just that really good kind of background of just hard work equals good results. I think. So yeah, I think I definitely have learned that from my parents for sure because it wasn't always easy for them.
Was there any major life events, any challenges that really set you on the path that you think that you're on now? Anything that stands out to you, Lisa?
Yeah, it's a tough one. In my childhood, I think resilience had to come into it at certain points. I think at the point where, and we haven't touched on this yet, my dad had actually quite a problem with alcohol and was a recovered alcoholic in the end. And I think the moment when I realized there was a problem there was probably the kind of life changing moment because it was like, oh God, actually, there is a real problem here. It's not just my dad, being difficult. He's really got a problem and putting all my feelings aside and just trying to focus really on the understanding that there was a problem that he was trying to deal with, and I need to put my feelings aside and try and understand it. So I think that was quite life changing, really. And Dad and I went through a lot together in his alcohol recovery, which I will be forever grateful for. And it sounds kind of ironic because it was a really emotional thing to deal with because I couldn't understand why, even as an adult, because I stayed at home until I was in my mid 20s, actually. Even as an adult, I would beg him not to have a drink and not understand why he would not wanna do that when I'm sort of in tears in front of him, until I went on that journey of what it really means and that it's an illness. He's not doing it to spite me, he's not doing it 'cause he wants to, he's doing it 'cause he's not well, he's got an addiction. And so I made it my business to find out why this addiction was controlling his life. And, yeah, we went through quite a journey together through, AA. And, yeah, it was quite a pivotal moment. So I think that being resilient early on in life, you're able to kind of use that in various different areas, I feel. You know, when you learn things on a personal level, when you're trying to put it into a professional level, you can kind of do it easier because it's not a motive at all. You're just being resilient to something that you really want really badly. It's not life or death. It's just life can be life changing. So yeah, the resilience side of it was huge for me early on, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad and the AA as well. How long was he in recovery for, did you say? You messaged me the
So
other day, let
my
me
dad
know.
passed away when he was 85, and then definitely he was sober for like 28 years, let's
Wow.
say, uh, easily that. So it was, and I can kind of pinpoint that because um, my brother's wife was expecting the first grandchild for my dad, just at the point where he had his very last um, near life experience, actually. So yeah, dad actually nearly drunk himself to death. It's him. So, and I was there to kind of well, I guess save him in a way. I had to kind of break into his flat because mum and dad did eventually separate because of the drink, but still were very close friends. But dad had his own flat. I couldn't get hold of him one night and knew there was a problem. So literally had to break his door down and found him passed out on the floor. Wasn't a pretty sight. So yeah, and I won't go too graphic, but it was pretty bad, and I had to revive him. So thank God I brought him back, and you know, he was told by the consultant that, yeah, have one more drink, Mr. Aitken, and you would never meet your first grandchild. So I think that was the turning point for him.
That was definitely his rock bottom.
That was it. That was his rock bottom, and he never had a drink after that. Literally, didn't touch a drop. So he took himself off to AA, and we were so super proud of him. He just disappeared one night. None of us knew where he was. And, I, ended up kind of catching up with him. He was because he was walking to AA because 'cause he'd lost his driving license. So he was walking to AA up this very, very steep hill in Oxford, and, I drove up behind him and just said, "Look, you know, where are you going, Dad? You're walking in the wrong direction to home. What's going on?" And he went, "I'm going to a meeting." I went, "What do you mean a meeting?" He went, "I'm going to AA." I'm like, "Right, okay. You're going to AA? I didn't know you'd been going to AA." He said, "No, this is the first meeting." I'm like, "Right, well, get in then, let me take you." So from that moment that started our journey of him recovering and me starting to understand what the problem was. It was quite an honour to be part of, you know, learning that alcohol doesn't choose a certain type of person. It will choose anyone, like anyone's vulnerable. And in that room that night was, you know, there was a policeman, a counsellor, someone off the streets, you know, a middle-aged man, my dad, and quite a few middle-aged women, young women, older women. It doesn't discriminate. It can hit anyone. But in there they were all equal. And that was fascinating to be able to sometimes I stayed, sometimes I just sat in the car, but to witness the, camaraderie and the kind of unwritten law around respect in that room was pretty phenomenal. Yeah, goosebump stuff. Really special.
How old are you, Lisa, when he went to his first meeting
Yeah,
then, if you
at
don't
that
mind me
point,
asking?
I'm like very early 20s, very early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, so long
Yeah.
now.
But But it definitely, like you just said about resilience, it's definitely built up a resilience, and these experiences have shaped your perspective and your drive by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I think I never really had an appreciation to that until more like now when you start to self-reflect a bit more. When we go through these processes of doing the self-reflection stuff that we do now, then you realise, God, actually, that was huge. Just then, I was young. I was so kind of anything went really. You don't really think about those things when you're young. It's just life. You just get on with it. But when I think about the positive and negative effects it had on me, it's really quite interesting to reflect on your own life sometimes, isn't it? And realize how far you've come and not kind of have any regrets about anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You sort of forget, and because you're just caught up in that whirlwind at the time, aren't you?
Yeah, easily.
Definitely, yeah. So we mentioned earlier, before we move on to your coaching, Lisa, we mentioned earlier that we did a bit of affiliate marketing back in the day, a few years ago now, for the same digital marketing company.
Didn't we,
What
Jack?
what made you pivot and try and get into to that sort of world?
So yeah, the gap in the middle is I spent 30 years in corporate technology, nearly almost 30 years, almost 3 decades. And that was quite the journey. Being I kind of fell into it really because I was always very sports orientated. Never thought I'd end up in a desk job, to be honest. Wanted to be in the police or wanted to do some sort of sports coaching and ended up in technology, which was very random. So I kind of ended up working for one company for, well, a good 20 odd years. Just sort of stayed with that business and worked through it. I started on like a technical help desk and then I ended up being the director of that department. And I think, I always felt like a little bit of a square peg in a round hole because I wasn't
Yeah,
a yes person.
yeah,
I was also pretty much always the only female around the boardroom table, which was great for most of it because it was part of the challenge. It was kind of part of why I wanted to see it through because women do think differently and they do bring something different to the table. But yeah, I always felt like there was something missing because I didn't want to just conform and tick boxes. I wasn't ever a box ticker. So it was always, I had that, I've got that problem solving mind. So therefore that carried into my management style as well. So kind of things like, I suppose, when maybe a member of staff wasn't performing in someone else's team and they'd kind of say, we'd talk about how we needed to manage these people out. And my question was, why are you managing them out? Why aren't you managing them properly? And do you even know what the problems are? And, have you actually spoken to them about whether they think they're in the right job? And it's like, oh, we'll just get rid of them. They're not performing. It's like, well, hang on a second. How much of that is your fault? And if that's someone on my team, I want to know am I doing the right thing for that person? And so I wasn't ever that popular in sort of management meetings. It's like, hang on, this was only supposed to be a small item on the agenda. But so I kind of felt like, I keep being put into this little box of, only say this much, don't say that last bit. And yeah, you learn to pick your battles and you learn what's important because you've got to get the results. And I was very open to that. But it was often always at my expense. And I kept just thinking, what else could I do that means that I don't feel squashed into this kind of box where the lid's all shut, just as I'm getting into the way I really feel and how I want to really help people. So the biggest part of the job that I loved was, yeah, okay, the customer interaction. I love building relationships, but helping people. So, that I always found the managing the big teams and developing people to be the best version of them. It sounds cheesy, but people don't know how great they can be. They just don't believe it. And I think that's really sad. And we do it ourselves to a certain extent until we learn the tools to dig deep and find that actually you can do anything if you really want to. Some people don't know that and they need help to get there. Now, you're either willing to put that work in for someone or you're not. If it's not in your blood and you don't feel it and it doesn't light you up, you're not going to be good at it. And my biggest, I think, issue with people in management roles is they may be very good at the tasks, but they're not very good at developing people, yet they get given these massive teams. It's insane. Like, why would you give someone who's rubbish with developing people a huge team just because they've become good at the tasks that, answer the bottom line? It just didn't work for me. And I just thought, well, there's got to be something better out there. So anyway, the corporate career kind of ended because of my own story of burnout. So it had to end. It came to a rather abrupt end. I was just completely done, and I hit breaking point after, yeah, surviving for far too long, just coping, and then I couldn't cope anymore. So that was it. I kind of crashed and burned one morning and got peeled off the floor and put into a car and taken home by my best mate. So that was the end of that, and I never went back. But interestingly, there's probably far too much detail to go into. Even that ended on my terms, which was unusual. There were internal factors that led to my burnout in my last job. And although it wasn't ever admitted, there was a compensation for that. But there were also my rules, which were I get to tell my team I get to come in when certain people aren't around. I get to leave on my terms, and that was when I decided to move away to Cornwall anyway. So I get to tell them that it was my choice, my decision, not the truth, what actually happened, but stuff that would protect them. And so I left with very unique terms, and I think the company I worked for then couldn't understand that. They couldn't understand why I wouldn't just, take the money and go. And it's like, well, it's not about the money. That's why. That's why you don't understand me, because it's about the people. I need
Yeah.
to be able to tell them that everything we've worked for, I was with them for 3 years, wasn't, is to be carried on. You know what to do. Just carry on doing it. This is what we built up. And because I went into a different company and built a team up from scratch. And yeah, it was a weird set of kind of requests, but they let me do it, and I'm so pleased I did because I ended it on my terms in the end, rather than so I got some of that power back, even though I was pretty broken. So then moved away, just moved away completely, changed my job. Um, I didn't have a job then; it was just before COVID. That was great timing, wasn't it? So leave everything you know, the job you've done for all these years, the home that you've had for the last 10 years, and move to Cornwall, and then COVID hit. So the move got delayed a little bit. So the pivotal moment, back to the actual real question, was in Cornwall. I'm a year into my recovery and I'm starting to feel better. I got like just a basic job at a gin distillery, funnily enough. But that was fun, helping them build their business, little startup. That was quite good. And I was with them for about 3 or 4 years actually. But yeah, it was that my world's got too small now. I'm better and I need to do something, and this can't be it. So what am I going to do? And it's like, right, hang on a second. All these skills, surely I can earn some money with these skills. But most of all, surely I can do something that's going to really be rewarded and I'm going to love again. I can't accept that I'm just going to be in a job that's just like this for the rest of my life. So, probably like you, started searching online. How can I build a business online? How can I make money online?
Yeah.
And then the algorithm got me, like it does. And then our mutual friend Dan popped up in my Facebook feed, and it's like, oh, this guy was cool. And I'd answered one or two different other little ads and kind of watched podcasts and not got any connection with them. And I thought, this is really weird. This kid's got something now. And he was called my kid because he was like half my age, isn't he? And it was like, I don't know why I want to keep listening to him. And if he can do it, surely I can do it. And then, yeah, the rest is history. Kind of had a chat with Dan, and we were like all in with our gold membership, weren't we, Luke?
We were definitely, yeah. Yeah. He's a hell of a storyteller, Dan.
Isn't he just?
Yeah,
I
very
think
good.
it was life changing doing the whole kind of launch you stuff. Really life changing. Just Stuart's great, right? And it. I think it like saved me again. It kind of gave me that purpose. So it was right. Up at 5 every morning. Sat at this. This is not an actual real desk. This is actually our dining room table. So there's a story. It's still our dining room table, but it's not been that for like nearly 3 years now. It's my office. It's actually the corner of the living room.
Yeah. Yeah. I recognize it from your content, actually, I think.
Yeah, always here. Um, probably need to do some filming outside given I live by the beach, right? But it's also windy.
Yeah. 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 Same with me at the moment. Yeah. It's just bad time of year, right?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, getting up every morning and it's yeah, breakfast with Stuart every morning, doing the training and and then go and do my day job, take my laptop to work, do a bit, if it was quiet, then I could get away with it. Not now. It's different now. And yeah, and then coming home, couldn't wait to get home, back to the desk, laptop open, more learning, jump on any calls if there were any. And it just become a way of life. And I have not been able to let it go. I just can't, because now, we went down those little rabbit holes, the affiliate marketing. I very early on realized, I think the use for that was understanding that it was a proof of concept for funnels, proof of concept for the tech, and seeing that working was fantastic. But very early realizing, no, I don't want to sell someone else's dream. You literally are still just building someone else's dream still. So
Exactly.
the irony of what Stuart teaches became the whole reason why I didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember having a really funny conversation with Caroline about that from last year, and that was it. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I don't think I could have, even if it did make me a lot of money. I just still was doing something for someone else. So, but it got me on that path. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't have taken that route. And will be forever grateful for just lighting that fire again. And it was quite an emotional time for me. It was like, my God, my life's not over. I actually
yeah,
still got some stuff to do,
yeah.
and I feel like actually it's just starting.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you that sort of reinvention, doesn't it? And that zest for life I spoke about earlier.
Yeah, and people think we're mad when we say stuff like that at 53 years old. No, I really mean it. Like, I couldn't be more serious. Like, this is what I was always meant to do. I just didn't know it. And that's what I want to help other people understand as well.
Yeah, yeah, so powerful.
Massively so.
So, Lisa, what has inspired you to focus on burnout? Obviously, you mentioned burnout before coming from your
Uh,
corporate background. And why do you think is such a huge issue for women in particular right now?
so for me, what inspired me was it's my story. And I did spend some time doing a bit of life coaching, but it was just too broad. Too broad, too many people are doing it. And I didn't have a unique message. And I didn't I live, that kind of mindful life, but I didn't have enough. I didn't believe in it enough myself. And for your own honesty and integrity, if you have those features and those feelings, it's got to be something that really lights you up, especially now that we're investing so much of our own time. Um, and so the burnout thing was just like, oh my God, the pen is dropped. It's your story. That's what you were meant to coach on. My God, you can really help people because you know what it's like to be burnt out. You know how it feels, and you have built that meaningful life. So I kind of built my coaching program around what would I have liked? Well, I would like to have been, not make me feel more burnt out, make it feel like almost easy to recover, in a way, put in the deep work and the honesty, but understand that there's this whole life potentially waiting out there for you, and you can overcome it. And yeah, life is going to become tough again, but you'll know how to deal with it. You'll have those tools. So I wanted to do, a lot of research into what other people are doing, and then how could I do that with my own story and put my spin on it. So I built my own coaching program. At the moment, it's a 1-to-1 6-week coaching program called the Reignite Method, and it's basically a 3-pillar program. And it sort of starts with understanding what burnout is, the whole burnout reset, doing an audit on your energy. It is called the energy audit, finding out what, people, potentially places, habits are stealing your energy, finding out, use some great tools in there to make it abundantly clear where your energy is going, and then giving yourself that permission to pause. And that's that sort of first module is reset and reclaim. So you reset yourself and then you reclaim your identity back a little bit. Second module is reconnecting and realigning, claiming what you're really kind of passionate about, rebuilding your own self-worth. A lot of people feel guilty through and then having that emotional empowerment to just move through. So section 2, reconnecting and realigning. And only then, when, we're happy, you rise and redesign. So rise from burnout and redesign your life with aligned action planning, lifestyle redesign, and then creating your own legacy. And those 3 pillars are going to help people to live the life they want to. I think women, it's a tough one because women in burnout, they've got other things to kind of contend with as well. Menopause, right? I went through that. I was starting that at the same time, and the lines are blurred there. So some of the symptoms are shared, and that's where it kind of, you get that sort of blurred line a little bit. But burnout really is the kind of stress-driven side of feeling fatigue. Menopause is far more hormonally led, and some women will understand obviously what that means. Uh, and you feel confused and overwhelmed by both, so separating those becomes difficult for people, and they don't really understand what's happening. So when you're in burnout, you are in emotional overload anyway. You get that complete disconnection from everything you've ever known. Simple decisions become super hard to make. I couldn't decide what pair of shoes to put on in the morning. It's Jesus, like pick from one pair of 5 trainers here. You got like just wear one. Like you live at the beach now, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to put a you don't have to put a suit on anymore. So it's not about like looking anything, but I just couldn't do it. It's like, oh my God, I just don't know. Simple things. And it was, how can I have made these multi-million pound decisions, like 6 months ago, and today I can't decide what pair of shoes to put on? What the hell's happening to me? And it's that scary. You just become completely disconnected from yourself. So I decided to help women because, again, being able to relate to it. And we all know we need to niche down in this very busy world that we kind of live in with coaching and so on. So yeah, it just seemed like the sensible thing to do.
And women with burnout as well. I mean, they're wearing so many hats, spinning so many plates. They're obviously they got their careers,
That's huge.
their parents, their partners. The overwhelm must be insane.
Yeah, it is. And I think women do take on a different role in most typical households, don't they? And even women that I'm coaching at the moment who are maybe single, they've got lots of impacting other relationships they feel responsible for. Women always tend to feel emotionally responsible for more family members than maybe men do because they feel more connected in that way. And we're all, we're built differently, right? And that is the case. Yes, spinning lots of plates, feeling, kind of responsible for everybody, and going through all these other emotions as well. And throw the menopause in there. That's the perfect storm.
Definitely.
It's no fun, I can assure you. They need help. They need a lot of help. I wish I'd have had the help when I was going through it.
Are there any misconceptions, common misconceptions that you see with burnout, Lisa? For me, in the entrepreneur space, I would say that the thing that I hear a lot is if you're doing what you're really passionate about, then you can keep going and going and going, and you won't get burnout. But then burnout burnout happens when you're working on stuff that's not that you're not so passionate about. Would
Mm.
you say that was true? Is there any truth in that, or
Yeah,
what do you see?
I do. I think the biggest misconception is that
Yeah,
just push through. Like, no, don't do that. That is literally going to break you.
yeah,
Don't keep pushing through. You need to literally stop and pause and find out what's burning you out. I think the other kind of sad thing is, even though the World Health Organization now recognize burnout as a workplace phenomenon, there is little to no support for burnout in most companies. It has risen a little bit. I think it's something like about a third of workplaces now have plans in place to spot burnout, but that's only a third. Like, what about the other two thirds? That's a huge amount of people. And in the UK, there's at least kind of over 90% of adults that are experiencing elements of stress and pressure in the last year in the workplace. So that's that's a hell of a lot of people, right? That's huge. So, I feel like it's that pushing through mentality is what's making it worse. And I know that because that's what I thought I had to do. And that's definitely what I done. Just keep going. Like, and also don't let anyone know that you're burnt out, like, because it's deemed as a weakness. And it's not weakness. Like, it's a really emotionally intelligent thing to be burnt out.
yeah. It's showing that vulnerability. It's
It is.
exactly the same as what I get with my coaching.
Yeah.
Dad's self medicating with alcohol and just pushing through, not being vulnerable, not talking, not communicating. So it's
Yeah.
a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, it is huge. And I think understanding that kind of red flag and that, from the emotional side of it is so important. People just squash it down because they think they just have to keep going. And yeah, the thing I find the saddest is that people think they're weak and far from it. But yeah, as I said, I wish someone would have told me that when I was going through it, because I definitely thought that I was almost embarrassed to admit it. Like now I couldn't shout it from the rooftops higher, loud enough. But then it was kind of like, make sure nobody knows what really happened. because, yeah, I was embarrassed that I was so weak to have come to it, but now I understand it. So I kind of made it my business to understand it, and then I thought, right, I can actually really help people with this. So
You can make an impact. Exactly.
yeah.
What is the first step for a woman then, Lisa, who is feeling burnt out and stuck?
Getting some help, just slowing down. Yeah, rest is gonna help, but with burnout, when you do rest, you still don't feel recovered at all. So I always felt like if I could understand this, I would be able to cope with it better and accept it better. But because I didn't understand what was happening, so I feel like if people can just talk to people who understand the subject, even if, they're not gonna do something like a paid coaching or any sort of therapy, then at least try to do your own research about what's happening to you. And I think once you understand what's happening to you, and yeah, there's a ton of free stuff. It just depends if you want to work with someone who's been through it and understands from the ground up, or whether you're happy just to take the textbook Google resolution to it. It's not personalized then. So what I really do is meet people where they're at right now and understand, one, how they got there, and two, how we're going to take them to the place where they feel not only better, but like a completely different person, if that's what they want. Now, a lot of people, like me, I didn't really know. I knew I needed more, wanted more, but I didn't know what that more was. And this is how we break it down and find out what the why is and how we get there and how we uncover that. So everything that I go through is not just about finding where the energy sappers are, doing this energy audit. It's about how we then discover what parts of life have to change and what bits don't need to, but what bits need boundaries. And building boundaries is very, very tough, because when it's with relationships, you might become unpopular with some people because they may be draining your energy and it might be good for them, but not for you. And potentially being very honest about what areas of your life are actually taking your energy is where maybe some feathers get ruffled if you don't have the support that you hope for in your family and your friends. So yeah, it's not easy, but you come out and you really understand why you ended up where you ended up and why you'll never go back there again.
Yeah, I think that people pleasing element's
It's
really
huge.
interesting. It is huge.
Yes.
Like I was saying about wearing all the different hats as well, you're trying to keep everybody happy. And yeah, I know personally with my wife, we're always joking about everything that she does, but she is a complete superstar in this house. We recently had my mother-in-law staying here and she was doing all the washing, she was doing some of the household chores. My wife had a bit of a break, and me and the kids were obviously the mother-in-law's moved out now, and yeah, our laundry woman has moved out, and my wife's back doing all the washing and really missing her. But it's all these things, you see. As men, we take you for granted. I'm going to be brutally honest, we really do. But yeah, women are absolutely brilliant. Just running the house alone is a full-time job,
I
and
know.
all the other stuff you guys have got, like you guys do as well. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, in between all that kind of with the career and the breakdown, I did actually get married and divorced, by the way. That's where that life as well. So chuck divorce in there as well. Yeah, so I get that. I'm very lucky now to share a house with my best friend. So two women in a house that we've both been married and divorced. We're like sisters, so we actually moved here together. And you'll have heard that story in Launch You potentially, so you don't hear
Yeah,
it again.
yeah, that's right. I have,
It's
yeah.
a very organised household. And she's very supportive of what I'm doing here. In fact, I couldn't do it without her. So yeah, on a serious note, like literally, I wouldn't be where I am now without her. I feel like we met when we were supposed to as well, and it's quite a unique relationship actually. And not many people end up living with their best mate, but it's just an amazing situation, and we've just kind of rolled with it because it works for us. And it's like girls on tour every day. It's absolutely hilarious. And, yeah, I'm insanely lucky to have that, and should either of us meet the man of our dreams one day, then, yeah, I told her she's toast, but no, I'm joking. Sorting out or to build an annex or something. That'd be for me, obviously. My desk that's our dining room table. So, yeah, she's fun.
You spoke earlier, Lisa, about daily habits and routines. when you got into Launch You, same with me, that was when I started diving into the world of self development and
Yeah.
personal growth, etc. What daily routines, habits have kept you grounded and energized?
So, simple one in the morning. I went through quite a transformation last year. Water before caffeine in the morning, always, always, always. So the glass beside my bed is 300 ml exactly. I have at least 3 of those, at least just under a litre of water before I have my cup of coffee in the morning, and that works really well in my routine. So, that's really important. Being totally hydrated fuels the brain, gets everything going in the morning, and I'm super serious about water, like, massively so. I drink about 3 or 4 litres of water a day. It's so good for you. Flushing you through, setting intentions for the day is huge for me. So whether it's while I'm having a shower, doing my hair, getting ready, I'm thinking about what I'm intentionally going to achieve today, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to conduct myself, no matter what comes in my path. Because I still, like you, I still work kind of full time job, and yeah, just being grateful, gratitude, affirmations, all that stuff. We just get into the routine of just being grateful for what we have, for who we get to hold close, and our family, and the things that matter. And you understand when you have things. I had the six-figure job, the Jaguar 4x4 on the driveway. I could not care less about that now. Of course, I'd like my car back. I'm gonna have my car, by the way. Definitely gonna have a new one. I'm not saying it wasn't nice to have, it was amazing, but I worked hard for it. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. So, no, that's not what it's about. Being grateful for what really matters to you is not the big salary, the car on the driveway, it's none of that. I never thought it was, by the way, but it just went with the job and the lifestyle. But I think, just those positive affirmations, setting you up in the right mindset. Mindset is everything, absolutely everything. So last year, Nikki and I actually, it was nice to go on the journey together. So I lost 4.5 stone last year from April to December. Nikki has lost nearly 5 stone to date from April to now. The menopause has not been kind to us. There's another thing us women have to deal with. You men are so lucky. And we dealt with it. And weirdly, I also came from a fitness background. I was a fitness instructor to start with early on in my life before I got into tech. And I know what to do. I know how to eat. I know how to lead a clean lifestyle. Nothing was working. Um, and I can absolutely hand on heart say my head wasn't in the right place. It's not that I didn't want it. Of course, I wanted to be back to the person I always have. This is the way I should be. I've always been. But something wasn't right. Something wasn't clicking. So therefore, it just wasn't working. So yeah, of course, we follow we don't call it a strict diet. We call it our way of life now. Very high protein, protein dense diet. It fuels the mind. It fuels everything. And literally, the weight fell off. It's been effortless. Absolutely effortless. No sugar, no alcohol. Nikki doesn't drink anyway because she's in constant pain, bless her, with migraines. I don't, none of us can, neither of us can understand how we done it in that kind of, we've done things before, but it's always gone back on. And this was effortless. But we sit down now and we go, yeah, it's mindset. It was because we knew we were ready. We were ready this time. So
Yeah, that inner work so important.
absolutely huge, and we just yeah, we are such different people from this time last year, both of us, and I've loved the fact that, she's come on this journey too, so yeah, it's been really, really great.
It definitely must help the both of you are working together, keeping each other accountable.
Yeah, accountability is very big in this household. What's really interesting is because there isn't that we're not in a relationship together, and I'm gonna be very open about this now, there's not that emotional connection. We're emotional about each other, like, I'm very protective over her, she's very protective over me, but like a sister, so you don't get it's a different vibe. I think when you're in an intimate relationship with someone, you've got a different connection. However you wanna spin it, you do, you have that, you should have that, otherwise, hence you should be divorced like us. So, that's why we ended up together. I mean, no one would marry us now if you saw us. It'd be a no wonder we're single, but hey, there we go. Maybe one day. But it is different. The dynamic is different. And so there are things that can be said that you probably maybe you wouldn't say it in a relationship or the way you wouldn't behave, but it just works. So accountability is a different thing for us, but it's so important, both of us. Yeah, honestly. And I think before our mindsets were in the right place, we were feeders to all the wrong things for each other. And I don't necessarily mean shove a cake in her face way. I don't mean that. I mean, but I almost do mean that. We were bad for each other in that way. But once we went on, she started to, how could she not be involved in my journey of this? Because I'm right in the middle of our living room, right? Well, not on the edge. She'd heard most of it. I haven't always got my AirPods in, and she can hear some of the things that are going on. And I'm thinking, actually, she is the most positive person I've always known. Anyway, I have to say, massively positive. But at the same time, she's also, I think she has to fix the world, and she needs to understand that she can't. And she's very much gone down that route of, so yeah, the book that changed her, Let Them. So Mel Robbins, Let Them,
Yeah, it's an amazing book. The Let Them Theory.
changing for Nick last year. She literally used it as a study tool, read the odd paragraph here or there, put it down and applied it to her life. And I feel like if, again, if I can say anything to have helped my best friend see that she didn't need to be perfect every day, well, you couldn't pay me enough money to feel greater than just knowing that I've helped her by introducing something into her life because she's done so much for me. So yeah,
Yeah, it's been transformational.
I think we went down a few rabbit holes there, but
Now we
yeah,
got there in the end.
yeah, it's a fun household anyway.
Your gratitude then and your intentions that you set, Lisa, is that through journaling? Do you put pen to paper? Because I find that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, I try to. I'm not as good at it every day now, just from a time perspective, but I definitely try to do it at least, a few times a week if I can. It's not daily anymore, I'll be honest, because of using all my time doing other things. But um, when I write things down, and your brain goes through a different process when you put pen to paper. And so I always try to do, literally a roundup of at least the week, or the gratitude stuff's huge. And yeah, I think I couldn't be without it now. Self-reflection's really important, especially when you're struggling. If you're having a down day, I think reflecting on, one, what you have achieved, and two, what you're yet to achieve, and the excitement of that, and getting back to your real kind of why and your North Star is so important. So once you reflect back, and I go through some of my old notes from 2, 3 years ago when we were sort of training and all the different things we were doing, I think, oh wow, look how much I've learned. All this
Yeah.
stuff. I feel good about that, quite
Yeah,
a
I've recently done the same. Obviously, we're in the new year now, and at the end of last year, I went back through all my pictures and put a collage together. And you forget, don't you? I looked at these pictures and kept saying to my wife, I said, "Wow, I forgot about that. Can you remember when we did that?" And and it all comes back, and you're like, "God, I actually have done a hell of we've done a hell of a lot this year as a family." And yeah, it's you forget, don't you? Because like you said earlier, you're caught up in the midst of it, or when you got the blinkers on, tunnel vision. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think even when you're doing something that's more fulfilling and you know you're on the right path, you do lose track of that. And looking back, and like you've done with, especially, with the digital age now, we can capture these memories and look back and go, God, actually, that's insane. Look what we done, look what I achieved, and remember how we felt when we were there. Or yeah, it's so nice, isn't it? I think, yeah, it's important to do that, and for everyone else to try to remember that as well. That we're connected to.
Definitely. Is there any advice, Lisa, that you would have given or would like to give your younger self, or someone that's that's maybe struggling?
Yeah, I think if my younger self was around now, in this day and age, obviously we live in a very different world in 2025 than we did when I was kind of younger, very, very different. If it was now, it would be, don't work for anyone else, work for yourself. Try to build a business from scratch at a younger age. I would love to be 18 again, and I'm not one to dwell on the past. I'm very grateful to have made it to 53. And don't get me wrong, but yeah, if I could go back now and know what I know now and do it then, wow, what a dream that would be. I'd have my entire lifetime to build up what my passion really always was gonna be in life. But I think it would, if I was gonna be employed back then, because kind of having your own business online wasn't a thing then, it would be, honestly, brutally, and this might sound counterintuitive, but don't be the first person in the office and last one out. I always was. And again, I'm not bitter about it. Please don't read this wrong, but I got nothing to show for it. Got some experiences, and that's, yeah, okay, that's probably invaluable, but I'm not thanked by the corporate businesses I almost had blood, sweat, and tears for. I'm not thanked for that. So, and again, I'm just being honest. It's like the reality of it is I worked bloody hard and it literally almost ended me, and not a single person thanked me.
You didn't have anything to show for it at the end.
So I had to accept that, and, that rapid fall from having all that responsibility and then feeling completely lost because you had nothing, no one needed you, your inbox was totally empty and you had nowhere to be. That was hard to adjust. So thank God, actually, and again, don't mean it's quite how it sounds. Thank God it was COVID and everyone had to stay in because I had to anyway.
Yeah.
No one needed me. So yeah, it's again, it's that self-reflection thing, isn't it? Everything happens for a reason though. And I'm a strong believer in that. But yeah, my younger self would definitely, if she knew what she knows now, would be a little bit truer and understand that over the years, trusting my gut really worked for me. And I wish I'd done even more of it for me, not for outwardly to build another business. I wish I'd done more for me. I always done it for other people.
Yeah. Lots of people pleasing, and you wish you would have followed your intuition more and your gut feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I guess I just didn't really know where it was supposed to take me, and I suppose it's because it was never meant to take me then. It was supposed to be now.
Yeah. A lot of life's about timing.
Yeah, and no, I'm totally okay with that because I just see it all as it's all part of the journey, and that might sound cheesy again, but it really was. It was the building blocks to, maybe I just couldn't have been as good or competent or feel capable enough to do this if I hadn't had those things happen in the order they happened.
Yeah.
And
Everything happens for a reason.
I'm grateful for the hard times because it taught me so much. All of it, absolutely all of it, all in. Mm.
You mentioned Mel Robbins' book, The Let
Mhm.
Them Theory, earlier, Lisa.
Yeah,
Have,
yeah, yeah.
have you got any other recommendations for books or podcasts that you're into at the moment? Or anything? Is there one book maybe that stands out for you?
So I got a top 3 books.
Okay.
So Oprah Winfrey,
Yeah.
What I Know for Sure, and I read that probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and, it's an incredible book. I mean, I think she's an amazing woman anyway, I'd love to meet her. So, yeah, I feel like if you were to ask me also who would I have dinner with, it would actually be her, I think. So, yeah, Oprah Winfrey, What I Know for Sure. I became a big fan of Bob Proctor, so he's incredible. So
Yeah,
I
he
read
is.
Brian Proctor's his son's book, My Father Knew the Secret. That's incredible. Really amazing book. You get 2 perspectives. You get the perspective of him growing up with his dad, Bob, the great Bob Proctor, being his father as well as his biggest sort of teacher in life. And it's fascinating. It's a really great book. Obviously, the Mal Robbins book, Let Them Theory, has just been incredible as well. So yeah, I would definitely say that was good.
Brilliant. Okay. I've never heard about the Oprah Winfrey book. I'll make a note of that one.
Yeah, it's been out a while, so yeah, it's been out a while, but it's very good. She come from a really interesting,
Yeah, I bet.
yeah,
I bet you got a hell of a story.
quite a traumatic start in life, yeah, with abuse and so on, and what it's taught to see where she is now, yeah, definitely recommend that one.
Brilliant. Okay. So, what does the next chapter look like for you, Lisa, moving forward? What have you got in the pipeline?
Building my coaching business, so I wanna help as many women as I can recover from burnout. So for me, even just helping, the small number of people I help at the moment is rewarding, but I need this to be something I do all day, every day, and it's going to be because I just want to help people and I know I can. So for me, it's gonna be more one-to-one coaching for now, maybe some group coaching, launch my own platform where it's a fully recorded course people can buy and then have one-to-one coaching with me as well. So just building my brand, building my coaching business to offer that help. I know that I'm not gonna be happy unless I'm helping people every day. So
Yeah. Okay. So, if people want to get in touch with you, Lisa, where's the best place to find you?
can definitely get me on Facebook, TikTok. and Instagram, obviously. So if you just search Lisa Spencer or Lisa Spencer Coaching, you can find
Brilliant.
me.
I'll drop all your details in the show notes anyway, Lisa.
Yeah, perfect. I'll follow those over to you. Yeah, I'm on those 3 platforms at the moment. Yeah, and you can message me directly, have a chat. Definitely happy to sit down and talk to people. I offer a free hour call anyway. That's not a problem. If people need longer, that's totally fine. That's totally fine with me. It'd be great to just talk to people and see what help I could offer, see if we're a good fit. So yeah, if anyone needs any help, and guys, yeah, of course, just get in touch.
Happy days. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Lisa. It's been great listening to your story. Lots of honesty there, strength, passion, and yeah, I know you've said about the word journey, but it does get banded around so much. But listening to your story today, I know you're going to inspire other listeners that are facing their own battles, whether that be through burnout, loss, and recovery. So,
Mm.
thanks again for joining me today, Lisa, on the next chapter.
Most welcome.
Thanks, Lisa.